Exercise 14, Creo Parametric 11.0. Hi, today's exercise we're going to take a look at how to mold a part using the multi-bodied solids inside of a part file. We're going to create what you see up on the screen here, where we actually have two halves of a simple mold, and actually we'll make an insert, and we'll start off with this part that's already built for us. And you should be able to find the part actually in the link below, so you could download that if you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open that part and start. Okay, so what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to create a mold around this. So to begin, just go to select in this case, the front plane. Now the front plane just so happens to be the parting line. It's dead center inside the actual geometry. If you rotate, you can see it's right inside there. So we could just go right to extrude, and we're going to draw a rectangle to surround this. And we could put in some dimensions. And in this case, we'll make it 200. And double click here, and this will be 200 as well. And then the offset here, we'll make that 90. And this will be 90 as well. All right, we could go ahead and hit OK. Now it's going to try and extrude it. You can see it's on the other half there. Well, let's extrude the backside first. So go ahead and flip that little pink arrow, and you could drag this in, and we'll get this actually to a thickness of 40. And now you could go ahead and hit OK. We'll also, in this case, this is where I made the mistake by just hitting OK. This is supposed to be a multi-body part, and what you need to do is let's go ahead and right click on that extrude and edit that, because I forgot to start it off that way. Now the way you do this is you go to body options and you hit create new body, and now you could go ahead and hit the green check. And now notice the colors are different because this is a separate body. So I'm going to put some additional features on here, just some rounds, and let's get them to 20. You need to select all 4 corners. Hit OK. All right, so now just if you look at this, you could actually right click over here, and if you hit the little arrow to the left actually of design items, you'll see the 2 bodies. Hit the little arrow into there. You'll see the current star over a body indicates that's the body we're currently editing. Just like in an assembly, you have to edit the part, and they use a little star. It's a green star in assemblies. Here, it's just a little blue star. Now, the body that we're not editing is the actual one that we brought in initially. So we just want to make sure we're editing specific bodies. Now, I'm just going to hide this body just for a moment to show you. I'm going to click on hide, and you can see that there's no cavity yet. So let's click on that and let's show it again. Now we want to make the cavity. So up here you go to, on the model tab, Boolean. The body to modify is the block that we created, and the modifying body is this part, the cast part. And now up here you have the ability to merge, intersect, or subtract. We want to subtract the volume of the cast part from the block. And make sure you select keep bodies so it doesn't delete the modifying body. And go ahead and hit OK. And now if we go and let's hide the body here, body 1, right click and go to the eyeball, you can now see we have the cavity. And you probably didn't notice it has the little logo on the backside, but basically that is how you start off making a cavity. Now let's bring the part back. So right click on it and go to the eyeball. Let's build the next part now, the other half. So select this face and go to extrude. And what we want to do is copy this. We don't have to redraw the rectangle. So we go to project, and this little tool comes up. If you want to do a loop, you just have to hold the shift key. So you can select this and then hold shift and select the face, and it will grab everything on the outside. And then you could just hit the green check mark, and it should have generated what you see here. And now we could go ahead and hit OK, and it's going to create our next block. And again, we'll go with 40 and make sure that under body options, you create a new body and go ahead and hit OK. So now we have the second half. We could hide the rear part. So this body 2 here, you could right click and click on the hide button. And if you rotate it, we can now see our part on the other half. So we need to make the cavity again. So go to the Boolean options, and the body to modify is this part here, the block, and then the selected modifying bodies is the brass colored part. Select that. And again, we want to keep bodies. Now here's the thing, you could copy surface appearances or not. If you turn that off, it won't bring in that yellowish or orange color into it. So we'll try that this time so you can see what it looks like. Oh, and make sure you hit subtract over here. Hit OK. And now if we hide the body 1 here, click on it, you can now see the part, or I should say the cavity with the text engraved and everything on there. And if we bring back all the bodies just by right-clicking and show, we can now see that we have our mold. Now we want to create an actual pin, a core pin that sticks in there. So first of all, if we go over here to hidden lines, we could see the inside of it, and this is the core pin. We're going to just do it on one side. You could replicate it on the other side, but let's say we want that to be able to slide out, and that's going to be machined differently. It's very high precision. So what we first have to decide, which side do we want to put it on? And currently, as we hover over this, we see we're editing body 3. We can see the star there. So that's the body we'll go ahead and create that on. So we'll flip this around so we can see that back face. Make sure you see the green edges and that your surface that you're about to select is the proper one. So we're editing that. We could select this face, go to extrude, and I'm going to go with the circle tool and hover over here. And if you hold or just hover your pointer over the edge, don't click, it will wake up that center point. Now here I'm going to go ahead and click and drag this out to that diameter and click to match it, and you see the equal symbol so it stays the same size. And now we could go ahead and extrude that. So we could hit OK. It's going to flip it the other direction, so we just have to hit the pink arrow that's pointing in there. Stay away from this one. That will cut everything on the outside if you flip that one. We want it to cut what's inside. All right, and actually in this case, we have the ability to remove material or add material. So in this case, we're going to remove material, and I'm sorry, no, actually we're going to add material to begin with. And we're going to tell it to go up to a specific edge or face here. So instead of this option for variable, let's go to reference, and there's, I should have actually, you know what I'm going to do is we're going to go over here to shaded with edges, and I want to hide, see if we could hide that body too. Okay, excellent. I was just able to right click on it. And we want it to go up to this surface right here. And it was the best way to select it was just like that. It looks like you could select this because they are the same surface technically. And that's where it will go up to. Now, again, body options, make sure you create a new body and hit OK. All right, so we have a pin in there and it's intersecting the geometry. So there are two separate parts. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a shoulder on it so it doesn't pop all the way through. So we could select this face again, go to extrude, and currently see body 4. We could actually rename this by clicking once, wait a second, click a second time, and we'll call this the core underscore pin underscore 1. So we know that that's the core pin. Now, we have started our sketch. We could go to the circle tool again and hover over that edge, find the center point, drag out the circle. Make sure you don't snap it to anything. Like let it flow. Like even if you have to drag it way out here away from the model, let it not accidentally snap. And then middle click, and we'll just go ahead and make that, I believe we'll make that, let's see, 30. That's, oops, I'm sorry. Plugging in the wrong thing. Go ahead and make that 30. I actually hit 3, didn't realize it. Okay, and it's a rather big sleeve. We don't need our shoulder. We don't need it that big normally, but we'll just leave it for the lesson. And we could hit OK. And we're going to shorten this to, let's go ahead and just make it 10. And then hit the pink arrow. Oops. And enter. And then hit the pink arrow to flip it to the inside. And this time we want it to be on the same body, the core pin that we're editing. So it's going to merge with it. You do not want to select the body options on that one. Now hit OK. All right, so here we have this. Now we could go and just do subtraction under Boolean and remove the volume of that part from this. Or in real life, you do have to have some clearance in there. Just for the sake of this exercise, just to make it quick, let's go, we'll actually do that. We'll add some clearance. So first of all, we have to make sure we're editing the proper part. And right now we're editing the core pin. The core pin's done. So we need to actually edit body 3 here. And let's click on that body 3 text once, wait a second, click a second time, and we'll call that the cavity underscore rear. All right, so we want to make sure we're editing the cavity rear after we've changed that. Oh, we could change this text too. Click once on that body 1, wait a second, click a second time, and this is the casting. So it's the original part. I'll actually put a original on there. Okay, and we could even edit this one, and that'll be the cavity underscore front. All right, so we've named the parts, or I should say the volumes. Now, this is the one we want to edit. So you click on cavity rear and select the star, set as default body. So that enables us, whatever changes we make, it's going to edit that. So what I'm going to do in this case, actually, we will remove the material, then we could add an offset cut. It'll actually be easier because we'll be able to see it better. So I'm going to go to Boolean operation and go to subtract, keep bodies, turn off that copy surface and appearance. So the body to modify is this block, the cavity rear. The modifying part is the core pin. And make sure we have everything selected and hit OK. All right. Now, if we hide this part, which is the core pin, just by right-clicking, click on there, we can see we have a perfect hole now that would fit into. But being steel or metals, you can't squeeze that in there without a major press fit, or you're going to have to freeze it or do something. And we don't want that. It's supposed to be a removable cavity. So we're going to put a little clearance. And you don't, you can do this in any way you want. This is just one technique. I'm going to go ahead and select this face, and I'm going to go to extrude. And we could put in another diameter here. We could just find that edge, make it a little bit larger. Don't let it snap to anything unless you want it to, but we don't want equal or anything like that. So let's bring it out a bit. And now we could middle click. I snapped to something. So that constraint to a point, I didn't realize I'm going to have to click on it and hit delete. And now it's floating and we see the dimension. So if you don't see the dimension, you accidentally locked into something and you just have to find that little circle for that relation, click on it one time and hit delete. All right, so we know this diameter I think was 30, so we'll go with 30. And it depends on how much play you want on here, but I'll do 0.01. So put 10 thousandths. And now we could just go to OK. And we select remove material and hit OK. And we would do the same with this one too. But let's go ahead and bring back the core pin. So click on it, hit show. And we could show this one. And now let's go ahead and we will, let's just center this. Explode it. Now, to explode it, my understanding, we have to bring it into an assembly, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So this is an extra step, which in other systems, actually, it does it inside here, and I'm not sure if I just haven't found that yet. It might be there, so if someone knows, correct me below. But here's what you could do. You start by right-clicking on like the original casting, and you could create part from body. And in this case, we'll call it casting renew. I'm just making that name up just so we know it's not the original. Okay, and then we could go back to what we're working on. Oops. There we go, which is the cast part. And then we go ahead and do the next one, the cavity front. And so we select that, create part from body. Theoretically, you could probably in multiple CAM systems bring this in or export it. And you could do this in those CAM systems technically. Like if you're just trying to cut out a cavity or reverse, maybe make an electrode, that might be something. But anyway, I'm going to call it cavity front underscore B. There's that. Go back to the cast part. And then the rear cavity. Create part underscore rear underscore B. Okay, go back to the cast part. And finally, the core pin. Right click, create part from body. B. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start a new assembly. And we'll call it E14 mold. Oh. And now we could just go to assemble, go to in session, and we could find those. Now I have a lot because I made it twice already because I show you earlier. And I labeled them all B. So cavity front B, hit open. And what you do here is you just select default and it drops it in its position related to the origin where it originated from. So if you just hit default every time, it should reassemble itself. And so we'll go ahead and again in session, and we want the rear. And watch this as we select default, goes right in place. Let's do the next one. And in session, we'll do the core pin B and default. And finally, we'll put the part back in. So that's the casting renew. And you could select either here or here, but don't go with automatic. Make sure you select default hit OK. Now we could explode that. Go to Edit Position, select this model, grab the Z arrow, drag it away. Select this model, grab the Z arrow, drag it even further out this way. Click on this part, grab the Z arrow, drag it backwards, and hit OK. And there we have it. And that is how you could create a mold, a multi-bodied mold. You might not have to do this last step. Probably where I would have done that when I worked in mold making. We always used to make assemblies, but part files, I'm sure there's ways you could bring that into your CAM system without having to go this extra step. But if you want to explode it, as far as I could tell, that's how you do it. So thank you for watching. Those of you in my class at this point, just hold your Windows key, Shift, and hit S, and click and drag a fence to surround the geometry. And right here, you click on this, the snipping tool, and you could go ahead and go to Save, and save as a PNG, and label it E14 and submit it in D2L under the E14. And that's it. Have a great day.